Let me ask you this first. Do you remember anything about Building 7?
Well, I made a documentary a couple of years later. So I kind of know all about 7. I know all about everything to do. I know every little last detail about all of that.
Do you?
Yeah. Immediately afterwards, people were phoning me up and interviewing me about what I thought about 9/11. You know.
Really?
Yeah,
immediately afterwards?
Yeah, well, within 24 hours I was giving interviews.
Why?
I don't know.
Why you?
Because I'm a kind of pundit.
So you had interviewed Silverstein yourself?
Yeah.
Did you ask him what he meant by pull it?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I had a quote, I'll show it to you, from Silverstein that indicated that that Building 7 came down from a controlled demolition. I mean, he said, why don't I just show it to you?
Well, I think that's correct, yeah.
You think it is correct?
Yeah.
That it came down from a controlled demolition?
Yeah. That Silverstein told me that they'd had to demolish it because it was a risk to the other buildings around it.
So they demolished it a few hours after the towers came down?
That Silverstein told me that they'd had to demolish it because it was a risk to the other buildings around it.
Because it was a risk to the other buildings around it.
Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull. And instead we watched the building collapse. We've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull. And instead we watched the building collapse.
That Silverstein told me that they'd had to demolish it. That Silverstein told me that they'd had to demolish it.
What does that mean to you in terms of who was behind 9/11? Does it mean anything?
Not in itself, no. Yeah.
What does that mean to you in terms of who was behind 9/11? Do you see my logic here, though, that makes no sense?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, they would do it in order to prevent it falling in some wrong direction and damaging some other buildings, I guess.
It was like 6 hours or so after the towers came. How could they do it, and why would they do it?
Well, it does. It makes sense if they were trying to preserve the buildings next to it.
Well, I mean, the fact that the U.S. government denies that it was a controlled demolition, right there, you know, somebody that's going to cover up the truth, you know, usually they're involved in the crime. Wouldn't you? Isn't that a safe bet? Did you ever see this footage before? Imagine you, who was a pundit, they never showed it. You never saw it. How could that be? Just the fact that you don't know about it shows. The only way to sum it up is that we're living in an Orwellian world, where history, yeah, but worse than you think.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Orwell.
Yeah. Check if there's any logic or physical possibility that they would have somehow rigged it that day.
Oh, that is the first thing I'm going to check.
It was set up way ahead of time.
That I can find out about in no trouble at all.
Please do.
Because I have a very good friend who became a friend during the filming.
Right.
Who was hired to put wind turbines on top of the new tower once it was built.
Uh-huh.
So he's a structural engineer. He lives in London. He's a friend. So I will be able to ask those questions, you know, from somebody about as close as you can get. Because I'm a kind of pundit. So I kind of know all about everything to do. I know every little last detail. Because I'm a kind of pundit. And I'm a big fan of Orwell. Yeah. Because I'm a kind of pundit. And I'm a big fan of Orwell. Yeah. Because I'm a kind of pundit. And I'm a big fan of Orwell.